Hey, so I just made a Hylian Shield replica for cosplay and also to hang in my uni room, and it's pretty cool, and I'm going to show you how I made it today. I'm going to do a little tutorial. It's fully functional, so you can use it as an actual shield or you can hang it in your room. The first thing I'll do is to draw out the pattern. You want to look really carefully at reference pictures while you're doing this, because the design of the shield varies a little bit between the games. I've made the Twilight Princess shield, which these bits are a little bit different and things. So look really carefully at your reference pictures. A little tip that I have is to fold your paper in half and just sketch half of the shield, because the Hylian shield is symmetrical, so you don't have to worry about getting both sides exactly the same. Next, you want to cut out the pieces. You want to just use the big overall shape of your shield, and you want to cut out 3 of those. I didn't do this, but I recommend you cut 2 of them a little bit bigger than the bottom one, because when you kind of fold it over, the sizes will kind of go about. The next thing you want to do is to work on this back section to make these kind of indented bits. What you're going to do is draw out the cross onto the back and just cut out these sections, but make sure you keep hold of them. So cut them out, don't cut them up, cut very neatly around them, and then keep hold of them, because the next step is to turn it onto its back and then very carefully hot glue them back down. You should be able to lay the pieces over the sections you just cut out, and it should just about lie on top, and then you just use loads of hot glue to just secure them down so they are kind of in the same place but they're sunken down a little bit. I was a little bit scared about the security, so I covered all the edges in duct tape as well, just to make it really strong, and that's worked really well for me. I haven't had any problems with it. The next thing we're going to make is the handle, which is this side. And what I did for this is I actually rolled up a paper tube. This is just a few pieces of paper kind of stuck together and rolled up into quite a tight tube. And then I covered it in duct tape for a little bit more security and waterproof, and then I just hot glued some of this fake leather around it that I have. For these bits, these are just little bits of EVA that have been cut out. So you just want to cut a bit of a rounded triangle with quite a bit of excess at the bottom. Place your tube on the end and then kind of draw a circle of where the end's going to go, and then very carefully use a scalpel or a craft knife or something and cut out the circle, but not all the way, and just kind of rip a bit of the inside out. And you just have to be able to kind of squash your tube in there. Squash your tube in there. I also made a little mini one over here just so when it hangs it's a little bit more even. And then the next thing you want to make is this strap here, which is really simple. It's just a piece of fake leather that I just sewed the edges to make them nice and neat. Then I just literally just hot glued it down, just like one glue it down, arm down, wrap it over, glue the other end down. And then I just put these little squares of craft foam over it to cover up the edges, and then I put some beads on them so it looks like it's kind of metal bolted on. This is just an old belt that I had. I took this chain off. I just cut it down, and it's got some pieces of craft foam around these the end loops, which is just glued to the back of these things. One problem I found is that when you hang it up, when it has these big handles at the side, obviously it sticks out from the wall quite a lot. It looks fine from the front, but from the side it just does stick out quite a lot. So you could easily just replace this with a fabric strap like this and it would still work fine. I didn't, because I really liked how this looked. And it's a bit more accurate to the game this way. But you can do that, I'm not going to stop you, it's fine. So the actual shield has a little bit of a curve to it. I took the top piece that I was going to use and I tried to use my heat gun to kind of warp it a little bit. And that did work a little bit, but it didn't really hold up. So what I then just ended up doing is I just made a little stack of some pieces of EVA foam, and I glued them to the middle, to the back, and then I kind of like put the piece over that so it kind of pushes out. So what you're going to do then is you're going to work on all these detail bits. No, I haven't chilly, bro. You're just going to take the template that you had before and cut out all the individual pieces. Just use the paper to make sure they all fit on your piece. I used pins just to pin down the paper template so I could kind of map out how things were going to go without having too many issues. And then I just traced around each piece with a biro so that I'd know where I was putting them. So the pieces that should stand out on all the shields really are the kind of, obviously the Triforce, these bits at the top, they vary between designs, and then there's sometimes a little bit at the bottom that stands out, but the actual crest doesn't. The actual crest is painted on. You can make it stand out if you want to, but in most of the reference pictures the crest is painted on. Mine also has this little I don't know if that's in focus, I don't actually have a flip out window on my camera, but it has this little bit at the top, this detail bit, and to do that I just use craft foam and then a little scalpel and cut out the design. And then glue that on and it was fine. It was the same as everything else. Just cut your pieces out of EVA foam when you're happy with them and they're all the right size and things. Oh no, one of my screws is falling off. I think. Something fell off. I chose to bevel my pieces a little bit and I use my Dremel to do that. I don't know if everyone has a Dremel. You don't have to do that, that's completely optional. You can also just like cut them on an angle if you have box cutters. Or you can just angle scissors while you cut it, it's fine, it all works. Then once that was done, I just used hot glue and secured them all down. If you really want to, you can kind of use a heat gun to bend them around a little bit to make them go on a bit easier, but I didn't really find that was an issue. I don't think I did that. They have these little bits around the Triforce, and to do that I just cut a really thin strip of EVA foam and then I had to kind of cut it in half because it was a bit too thick. And I just marked out where the little circles were, and then I used some beads, some old beads off in a little necklace or bracelet that I had. I just hot glued them down and then I kind of glued this strip down and just really carefully wrapped it around as I went. And then I used more beads and buttons to make the kind of bolts and screws and things on the shield. So I just kind of stacked some random like buttons and beads together. The hard bit is done now, your shield is there pretty much. The next step is priming. I use gesso to prime all my things, and it's just, you just basically just paint it all over. I had to do about 3 coats of gesso on this, just all over everything. I didn't do this, but I should have. I recommend you kind of wrap the handles and the chain in like cling film or something maybe, because I got quite a bit of gesso and paint all over them and they don't look as neat as they once did. So that wouldn't be a bad idea. Obviously I wanted this to be a different colour. I wanted this to be red, while everything else I wanted to be blue and stuff. To do that I just covered it in masking tape really neatly. I just put masking tape over, kind of traced out the lines that I'd drawn onto my shield and then cut them off and just put them back on and kind of pieced it together, and then made little stickers that kind of went over. You can also make like kind of a full sheet of masking tape and then draw the whole thing pattern on and then cut that out, and it's like a big sticker that just goes over. The whole process of painting is very long-winded and detailed and complex, so I can't explain to you exactly how to paint this shield, but I can give you some tips. Instead of using a little bit of emulsion paint mixed in with your acrylic paint, I find that acrylic paints can be quite weak. They can be quite watery and they take like a lot of coats to kind of get them to be really strong, and then they look really streaky. And it just doesn't look very good. You know, I find that mixing them with a little bit of emulsion paint is a lot thicker, and it literally is about 1 coat of emulsion paint because it's so thick and so like intensely coloured. Yeah. Paint, basically I put down a base colour first, just kind of like a mid-tone colour, and then once that's dry, or pretty much dry, I kind of go over with a lighter colour, like a highlight colour, and I put that kind of all in the middle. I went over and kind of dry brushed some black around the edge of the things. I put a lot around the sides of the shield because when I painted it with kind of like the base colours and the highlights, it just really lacked a lot of depth. I think putting the black in adds a lot of depth. I know a lot of people kind of don't like to use black. I think they're a bit scared of it, but I say don't be scared of black because it adds so much depth, and it makes things look really good. It gives them so much more kind of dimension. I really like it. And then I go over and just do little white lines around all the edges of these bits, these metal bits, just because it makes them really stand out and just makes them look really metallic. And I also kind of did some little lines going down, across, up, down in all crazy ways, so it looks like little like bits that have got chipped away at the metal and like scuff marks and things. And I did have trouble with was the crest, because it's just painted on and the rest isn't. I just found it looked really flat when I painted it and I really didn't like it. And I tried so many things to make it look better. In the end I painted it red, but then it's got a little bit of yellow in the middle, just kind of blended in quite well, which just gives it a little bit more dimension without making it actually stand out. Before you paint, decide whether you want your shield to look kind of battle worn or new, or like rusted or anything, because that's really going to affect how you paint it. I went for kind of a battle worn but not so battle worn. Well, I was in the Twilight Princess design anyway, and that design anyway is a bit kind of worn out and used anyway. So I just went for that. So it's got some browns in it, and it's got a lot of scuff marks and things. I just recommend that you really take your time over the weathering and the painting. The weathering on mine alone took around 5 hours. I stayed up till 3 AM to finish it, and I was so dead the next day. You don't want to rush it because in my opinion, the weathering really makes or breaks something. And the back is done exactly the same way. It's just a little bit of brown because there's quite a lot of brown on the reference picture for the Twilight Princess. Quite a lot of black, and then I did a lot of white edges on this because the back was a lot easier because it's so big. It was hard to shade like the front edges and make them look metal because they're so small, but having big piece on the back is a lot easier to shade and weather and make it look like metal. Another thing I got especially for this project, actually the only thing, was I got some metallic paint. I got some metallic silver paint. I just put a bit of that down before I kind of went in with the weathering and shading, and it made it look really cool actually. I like it. Although the weathering and shading did cover it up mostly on the back, there's a little bit left. And it just shimmers a little bit in the light. You probably won't be able to see it on camera, but it shimmers a little bit and it looks metallic and cool. Now you're done and you have a Hylian Shield and it looks really cool, and you can use it for cosplay, you can use props, you can hang it on your wall, you can throw it at things, you can fight bad guys with it, you can do anything with it. It's fairly durable, you know, you can throw it around. I wouldn't use it as an actual shield, but it's fairly durable. Obviously it's EVA foam, so it's really lightweight, which is really nice. Yeah, as I say, I found it really easy to make. There's really not that much to screw up on, it's just mainly cutting and sticking. This is really a prop that kind of, the painting is the bit that will kind of make it or break it. So that's definitely the bit I'd kind of recommend you take your time over a lot more. Now that I've made the Hylian Shield, I really want to like make the Master Sword and the really cool sheath that it goes in. So I definitely might do that in the future. There's loads of other gadgets from the game that I'd really like to make as well, so let me know what you think. But yeah, give me your opinions, I want to hear them. Thank you for watching, thank you very much. Please subscribe to me because at the moment I have 0 subscribers, so I look really lame. So I'd really appreciate it if you would help me out. Thanks. Or you can follow me on my other social media. I have Instagram, Facebook, Cosplay Amino, the other thing, Tumblr, I have that as well. Just look in the description and I'll send you links and you can follow me, and I post loads of work in progress pictures and everything there and bits and bobs, and it's fun. You can follow me and we can talk and we can be friends. So yeah. Thank you for watching my video very much. I hope it was helpful. I hope you go away and make your own Hylian Shield. I'll see you later. I can't find the off button. Oh, this is awful.